Hi there, it's 1T, and in this video I'll be going over our syllabus. So let's go ahead and get started. Now this is our home page. There's two ways to get to the syllabus link. You can click on the syllabus link in the blue ribbon. Now if you read this announcement, it's going to tell you to go over here for syllabus and calendar. And in here there's actually a video, which I'm taping at the moment. And then this is a link to the syllabus. And there's also a link where you can go and it explains what a syllabus is if you're new to college and not all that familiar with what's in a syllabus. It's basically a contract between you and your instructor. If you know your syllabus well, you should know exactly what to expect in the course. So let's go ahead and get started on the syllabus. So this course is Math 1332, Contemporary Math. The thing that identifies it as being different than the other Math 1332 courses is the section number, that's C3. So for example, when you go over to take your tests in the testing center, you're going to need to know that you're in that section. For contact information, there's my name, Scott, with 1T, Smith. That's why my nickname is 1T. And there's my email. It's Scott Smith, all lowercase, and again, T, just 1T and no spaces, at dallascollege.edu. Phone number is 972-677-8940. If you want to get a hold of me outside of class and have a conversation. Normally I get back to students in a very short time, but we're supposed to do that within 24 hours. If there's ever a time you send me an email and you don't hear back within 24 hours, please resend it. Sometimes I get really busy. I'm teaching several courses this semester, and sometimes I can't respond right away, and then I forget about it later. So again, if it's more than 24 hours, email me again, and I'll be sure to get right back to you, and I will apologize. Office hours, oh, I didn't post them in here, did I? Basically, my office is J127, and it's going to be Monday through Thursday from 7 to 8 in the morning, and then Tuesdays and Thursdays from 1 to 1:30 in the afternoon. I'm also likely to be tutoring in the library, so when I know when that's going to be, I will announce that. All right, let's move on. If you, for some reason, have to withdraw from this course, November 13th is the last day to drop. The cert date is September 8th. We'll talk more about that later. Here's a description of our course, and these are learning outcomes, which are a little more specific. If you're interested in those, look through that. First week of class, we'll talk about what we're going to be talking about in this course. Texas core objectives, if you're not familiar with those, you should read those over. Those are the kinds of things that we want to see as a college. We want to see our students improve at and take those kinds of skills with them when they go out into the real world. Certainly critical thinking, communicating, teamwork, all of these types of things are really important in the workforce. It can make a difference between you and other candidates that want to work for companies. Let's see, our course materials, this is the book material. It's called Thinking Mathematically. You'll have an email version of the book, and basically it comes with, when you pay your tuition, you also get the online textbook, which is in My Lab Math, which is where you do your homework and quizzes. Basically, it's an online textbook-based software where you're going to be doing your assignments. So it's important that you have your own computer or a computer that you have access to. and that you can get on the internet and do your assignments. This tells you a little bit about how to get started. It's pretty straightforward. Um, it is important that you have a good calculator. This is the one I'll be using in class. It's one I highly recommend, especially when we get to the financial section where we have to do financial formulas and you have fractions with fractions. And this calculator handles that kind of stuff very well. If you have a calculator that you're very comfortable with and very good at working with, I can look at it and make sure that it's a good one that will be help you to be successful in the course. So here's how things will be graded. You have homework, which is 15% of your grade. Quizzes are 10% and tests are 75%. Basically, for each assignment, or I should say for each chapter that we do or that we cover, there'll be a homework assignment. Sometimes I'll group a pair of assignments together. I don't know if I do that in this course. But anyway, a nice thing about MyLab Math is you're going to know if you did the problems right or wrong, because you're going to get a green check, which means you did it right, or a red check tells me you got it wrong. But you can get feedback and solutions to similar problems to help you in order to complete that problem. So it's nice to have that. On the other hand, I think sometimes students treat MyLab Math like they would treat a video game. You know, they'll just look at everything on screen, maybe scratch a few notes down to get through their work. But that's a very poor way to go about doing your homework. Highly encourage you to get a notebook, excuse me, and write down the problems, write out the solutions, make notes of issues that you run into or questions and that kind of thing. And then when you get to the point where you're ready to take a quiz, which covers normally 2 or 3 sections, and that doesn't have any help in it, I would encourage you to look at your notes, look them over, and then take the quiz. And if you can do the problems without looking at your notes, that's a good indication that you're probably ready for your test. On the other hand, if you're really struggling and you're having to use your notes, that tells you you have a lot of work to do. The quizzes are timed. You get 2 attempts. If you ever want more than that, just send me an email. I just normally don't want you to spend too much time on those. 2 times is normally enough, but just let me know. There are 5 tests worth 100 points each. And you know what? I didn't put it in here yet, but if you get an 80% average on your homework assignments, I will drop your lowest test. That being said, I do expect you to take, everybody needs to take test 5 in finals week. I do expect you to take all the tests. So here's our grading breakdown. Of course, an A is 90 to 100% and so on. It's the typical scale. And now I do want to mention one thing. In 1332, I can give a D grade, but in the DMAT 0332, I can only give you a C grade or an F grade. It's just really important that you do everything you can to pass this first semester. I mean, nobody wants to take 2 classes and have to come back again. So I really hope that you'll take it very seriously, do everything you can to get off to a good start. And at the very least, if you did have to retake the course, if you at least get a C on the 0332 part, then you wouldn't have to retake both courses. But we're going to do everything we can to get you through the first time. So here's the calendar. So it's very clear what's due each week. Notice the first week's assignments are due by Monday on September 1st. And then it goes from there. And when you're working in MyLab Math, you're going to see the dates as well. Also, I'll be giving you a calendar that I've put together that's a little bit nicer. This one doesn't print out so well. And so that's something you might want to put in a folder for whenever you're doing your homework. You're always going to know exactly what's due. If I make adjustments, I'll let you know in class, but normally I stick pretty close to the calendar. Noticed our first test is in week 3, and let's go ahead and move on. If there's any changes, anything I want to change throughout the semester because of circumstances, I'll let you know that. For attendance, in order to be certified as participating or attending the class, students must attend at least one time in the first 2 weeks and start completing assignments in MyLab Math. It's actually a very low bar. Highly encourage you not to do that. Hopefully you'll get off to a great start and you won't be late. I've sometimes had students show up a week late, so they're scrambling to get assignments done. But you can see if you look back at the calendar that by September 7th, you should actually be done with 5.6. So that's what you want to be shooting for. And also, I would encourage you to shoot for at least 80% on your assignments. Late work is 25% off for homework and quizzes. Generally, I don't give tests late. So if you miss a test, which tests are going to be taken in the testing center, academic testing center, then it's really important that you contact me right away. If there's any kind of special circumstances, I may be able to work with you to get the test taken, but generally I don't do retakes and I don't give late tests. So make sure you're getting your assignments done on time. Make sure you're prepared when it's time for the test, and I hope that you'll do very well. So here's some contacts that you may be interested in: Success Coach, tutoring, and there's other things here you should see what's available. And then if you haven't read the institutional policies before, you should click on there, and it talks about things like accommodations, dropping classes, repeating classes, Title IX, discipline, and those types of things. I think it's important that you're familiar with what's in there. And anyway, that's all I have to share with you on the syllabus. If you have any questions, just send me an email or you can talk to me in class. That's it, guys.